to the Recovery Daily podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abassi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. And for those of you who are watching the video, behind me is a mannequin that I have been dressing in brooches, and I've gotten pretty far. The back side is still a bit more open than the front side, but this is one of the projects that my sister's been helping me with. She gets jewelry from auctions and we go through it, and I clean up the brooches. Some of the things, like if there's some earrings that are rather large, I will change them from earrings to brooches. And so it's a pretty cool project. I love it. The focal point of the project is right at the center of the neck in the front is a brooch that my dad gave me on my wedding day to the kid's dad. And it is a brooch that has my great-grandparents' hair braided together. So some people think it's creepy. Some people think it's romantic. I think it's really cool. And yeah, I think it's really cool to have a piece of them. And it's a nice display of, I think, love. So I had that brooch in my drawer for so long, and I wanted to I wanted to be able to look at it because I think it's cool. And so what I also was able to do since I started this project is add a bunch of my grandmother's brooches. So she was a big brooch person. I think it's really that generation was big on brooches. So I'm bringing them back. So I have them all on the mannequin, and depending on what I'm doing, if I might get dressed up and go to brunch with somebody or something, I'll add a brooch to my outfit. So it's fun. So I just wanted to point that out. And to the left of me, I guess if you're looking at it, I don't know what's right and left, but on the other side is a painting of a field with trees. And that is the painting that used to hang in my grandparents' foyer. They didn't paint it, although they liked to paint. It's a painting that they picked out together and they bought together, which I think is very sweet. So this is my studio, but I have lots of things in here that are very family, make me feel like safe and cozy. I also have, funny enough, so I'm not going to move the camera, but on a wall that you can't see, there's this like mirror that is framed in bamboo. I'm pretty sure it's bamboo. It's probably not bamboo. I don't know my woods, but it has like a green glass vase that hangs inside it. And my grandmother used to always have pussy willows hanging out of the vase. So on Amazon, I bought some fake but very real looking pussy willows, and I put them inside the vase, and that hangs in the entrance of the studio. So that's a little personal. I thought I'd give you a little journey, a little tour, if you will, of my studio. And then, of course, over the mannequin, we have the Serenity Prayer in 3 frames. And then behind the mannequin is my lost for words yoga mirror. When I was doing yoga, I used to do yoga like crazy, addicted to yoga. So that was my mirror that my husband made for me. Okay, so let's get to our topic now. Thanks for humoring me. So the topic today is I wanted to talk about a little bit about what it was like in the beginning. The reading today in my meeting was talking about like what it felt like right before I got sober, that feeling of being alone and being anxious all the time, like crazy, crazy, debilitating anxiety is what I had, and alienating myself because I was too afraid to do anything. I was too afraid to interact with anyone or go anywhere because I had so much anxiety. I didn't even have to do anything. It just was sitting in my chest. It was terrible. It was terrible. It felt like I was dying. I'm surprised that I didn't have a heart attack or something because that's what it felt like. I felt like I was going to have a heart attack. But I never did. I just kept feeling this incredible amount of anxiety. I used to get really dizzy. Actually, coincidentally, the dizziness that I used to feel from anxiety is very much like the constant dizziness that I feel now. I never really correlated the two until this moment. But this feeling that was always sitting in my gut and in my chest gave me just a deep sense of disconnection from everyone and anything. And I was focused on self and only self. I mean, I never lost focus on my kids as a mother, but even that started to be, my drinking became like more prevalent in my mind than what I needed to do for my kids. I hate saying that out loud, but that's the cunning, baffling part of the disease is that it just was constant. It was just a constant state of obsession and anxiety and left me very alone and very afraid. I was living in a state of fear. I was living in a state of shame. And I felt like it was compounded by this feeling that I had to do it on my own. Like I had to fix the problem on my own. And I didn't know how. I couldn't stop drinking. I couldn't stop doing the things that it felt like it wasn't a choice. I had no realistic view of like my character defects. Like I had no concept of ego. I had no concept of this idea that I learned in sobriety about thy will and taking my will back. And I just, I was so confused. I was so scared and I was so hopeless. It was so dark. And I I was completely blinded by this feeling that I only had myself to rely on, and yet I I couldn't change. I didn't know how to change. I didn't think that I had a choice to change. It's hard to think of that now. It's hard to think about that that idea that, okay, the answer is to stop drinking. The answer is to start going to bed earlier. All of these like self-care things. I was far from that. Far, far, far from that. I had a resistance to change, but it was driven by my obsession for alcohol. Um, when I look back now, I am grateful for that dark journey. And that's what the reading was talking about this morning. It was talking about how scary and dark that part of my life was, but how grateful I am for it. How I had to have things get that terrible in order for me to change. I had to see that I was dying in order to change. Uh, so that, I the company that I was working for, not this last company, but the company before that, they would never own up to or admit it, but they got rid of me. They their out was to offer, like, tell me that I could no longer work from home and I needed to move to the headquarters. And I wasn't going to do that. I mean, I had kids. I was so helpless that I certainly didn't have it in me to like uproot and move away from my mom or anything like that. Like, I needed to stay where I was. And I'm sure that they were betting on she's not going to move. She's not going to come here. So she will most likely take the severance package. So they got rid of me, and as pissed off as I was back then, I see it now. I see what it was all for. I see that there was no other way for my life to go in order to save me. That experience of hopelessness became a necessary breaking point. That part of my journey was not wasted. It prepared me to be able to listen and to grow. I absolutely know that for a fact, because I lived it, that I wasn't going to be able to listen without judgment if I wasn't pushed to my absolute breaking point, where I was looking in that mirror. And I talk about this, I reference this a lot. I was looking in that mirror and I saw that I was dying. I saw that I whispered to myself, "You're already dead," because I felt the life had just sucked out of me. There was nothing, I had nothing left. It's, I, knowing that experience and knowing what I was feeling in, in my heart and in my soul, that's why I ache so bad for other people who can't stop drinking, because it's a fear that honestly I can't find enough words for. So when I got to the point where I kept trying AA and it wasn't working, and I even went to detox and it didn't work because I wasn't taking all suggestions. This this action that I was taking to go to detox for the first time felt like I was gonna get fixed. It didn't feel like I had to do anything. I just had to show up. I would go to this detox, and and they would fix me. It's like going to the hospital and they would fix me. You know, you break your arm, they put it in a cast and you get fixed. You don't have to do anything when you break your arm. You just have to rest. And that's how I saw, that's how I hoped detox was going to be. That's how I hoped AA was going to be. That I could just fall into other people's arms. I talked about that the other day, and I would be caught and they would do what needs to be done in order to lift me back up. And that's not what happened. That's why I had to go twice, because the first time I went to detox, I just went and I waited to be fixed. They gave me medication. I slept a lot. I went to the meetings that they brought into the detox facility. I was on a walker for 3 days, and yet I got out of that place and I was still me, you know. Wherever we go, there we are. I got out of that place, and what the thought that really was always caught in my craw was that alcohol was gonna jump out from behind the bush and throw itself down my throat. That's what it felt like. This, how do I not drink? I don't know how to do this. I didn't get it that I needed to do the work. I needed to take the suggestions that everybody was giving me. It felt overwhelmingly complex what I needed to do, what everybody was saying. And I went into these meetings and they're talking about these 12 steps, 12 entire steps. Are you kidding me? I just couldn't understand how to live in today. I couldn't understand how to control what my mind does. Like, if my mind wants alcohol, I felt like I was a victim of my mind. Like, I have to do whatever my mind wants. And that's why today I always call it turning off my wanter, because it wasn't until I recognized that I can want all day long. But how about if I just stop wanting? How about if I just do what I'm told in the program, take the suggestions so that next time I went to detox, whatever they told me to do, I did it. Everything they told me to do, I did it. I went to an addiction therapist. I went to IOP. I went to AA meetings. I did everything that I was told. And guess what? I'm still sober from that detox. And one thing that I heard was just do the next right thing. And that phrase helped me understand how to stay in the moment, how to practice not looking ahead, but looking at the here and now. And I have to practice it every day still. I can't say that my growth happened in these huge revelations or anything. I gave myself a requirement to listen to or read literature for 20 minutes a day, every single day. And that was pretty easy for me because I had an hour and a half commute both ways. So I would just turn on the big book and listen to that. And it ended up, I would listen to it for an hour, if not more. And it was just continuing to do these small actions consistently that eventually I looked back and I was like, I'm different. I went and got my new license from the DMV, and I looked at the new picture. I hadn't realized how much I changed. Like, even physically changed until I went and got that license. And I was like, oh, that's a pretty picture. And I pulled out my old license. I was like, oh my, you know, I was a different person. Physically, I appeared to look a lot different. And the big book talks about that. There's a story where, I don't know if it was uh, Bill who went to go visit somebody in the hospital and he did not want to be helped. And then years later or something, this guy came to Bill and Bill was didn't even recognize him, but it was the same guy because when we change, when we do these small consistent actions, it we slowly start to get healthy, mentally and physically. So my face started filling in, the color came back into my face. Actually, I shouldn't say my face started filling in. It was, I would go from one extreme to the other as far as being underweight and overweight. I thought that I was underweight most of that time, but I found a picture the other day. I think it was one of those pictures that comes up as your like 10 years ago on Facebook. Anyway, it was a picture of me and maybe my family or my kids, and my face was like swollen. My face looked swollen. So who knows what, who knows? I don't know. It's such a blur, you know? But so it slowly starts to happen. And I think I went through periods of time in early sobriety where I wanted things to change and I wanted them to change now. I wanted to be able to do the things that I used to do and I didn't want it to bother me, you know, like go to a happy hour with friends or, you know, I just wanted everything to be fixed. I wanted to do my amends with people right away. And the steps are in the order that they are for a reason. And there is a lot of patience involved. And we talked a lot about patience this morning, and I thought my introduction to patience was meditation. I used to go to a Friday 5:30 at night meeting, and it was called the Commuters Group at Club 12 in Leesburg, Virginia. And we would do about 10 minutes of meditation. We would just get quiet. They would turn out the lights, and there was no guided meditation or anything. We just got quiet and we all sat there for 10 minutes. And my brain was so loud during the 10 minutes. And the being like sitting there felt impossible. What I mentioned this morning is like, it felt, you know, when a young child needs to go to the bathroom and they do the potty dance, that's what I feel like my approach was to everything. Like that, everything in front of me is like, I got to do it. I got to go. I got to go. I got to go. I got to go. Like I had to keep moving. I did not know what it was like to slow down, to slow down mentally. I drank because I couldn't slow down mentally. And when I got sober, it takes a conscious effort and discipline to sit and to sit in silence and not say anything, not fidget, not look at my phone, and just listen to what's going on in my head and try to tame it. Observe what I'm thinking and try to let it go. And I remember specifically sitting there. All I ever knew about meditation was come back to the breath, come back to the breath. Well, I've always hated that because whenever I focus on my breathing, I feel like I can't breathe. So I would sit there and I would focus on taking a breath. And before the breath was even over, my brain was back at work, or it was on the way home, or it was fixing some problem that was going on in my life. Like it, that meditation that I did every Friday, that's why it's called practicing meditation, because you have to practice it. It taught me how to pause. And excuse me, I did it for several years. I went to that meditation meeting and I learned how to turn my brain off. And it's fascinating that I can do that now. I can literally empty my mind so that I'm not thinking about anything. And that is quite a talent that I didn't know was possible. But just getting still physically was the gateway to becoming still mentally, to calm down. I talked about over the past couple days, I talked about blind faith, and that's what that was during that early time when I was meditating, when I was going to detox for the second time, all of going to the addiction therapist, getting a sponsor, going to all kinds of meetings. I went to lots of different meetings because I wanted to find one that I felt comfortable in. They're all different. Like if you are going to meetings and you're like, I don't know, this just isn't for me. Trust me, there is a meeting for you. You just have to find it. And there are so many of them, so many different people. And it took me a long time to find the meeting that was right for me. And now I have two. Now I have two every day that I go to. And the people are my people. But it takes a lot of showing up and not judging. Just like early on, when I mentioned earlier in this episode, it took a lot of hopelessness for me to show up and not be judgmental. Well, I know from that experience, right? Experiential faith. I know that if I don't shut up and listen, if I don't stop judgment and just turn my ears on and get quiet, get still, then I am at risk to get back into that chaotic mindset. It would be so easy for me to get back to that mindset. So, today, I think that I have that experiential faith now. And I'm still learning. There's still some blind faith involved, but I feel like I have enough experiential faith that I'm more willing. It takes willingness in the beginning, and you're falling backwards. You're just falling backwards with blind faith that this is going to work. For me, what other option did I have? I was looking in the mirror knowing that I was going to die. I knew that I was going to die. So I had to fall back into somebody's arms. Somebody had to help me. And today, with more and more experience, I don't feel like I'm falling backwards into somebody's arms. Today, I know who is going to catch me. It's my fellowship, it's my family, and it is my higher power, which includes my concept of God. My higher power is a lot of stuff, but what's important is that it's everything outside of me. And that's what's important, is that I know that there is a power greater than me, that I am not running the show here. I'm more willing to trust the process now. I'm more willing to get uncomfortable now. Letting go today is freeing for me. It means that, oh, thank goodness I don't have to do this. That I don't have to control it. Can you imagine if I had to control all the things that I actually thought I was controlling? That would be terrible. It would be terrible if I actually was in charge of the things that I thought that I was controlling back then. And today I feel like letting go is a relief. It's such a relief. And so the journey continues, and I know that I'm not walking it alone. I don't hope that I'm walking it alone. I know that I'm not. Sorry, I don't hope that I'm not walking it alone. I know that I'm not. And that is that experiential faith. And I'm so freaking grateful that I had the willingness in the beginning. I, I think back, rewinding the tape, I think how many ways it could have gone wrong that I wouldn't be here today. And it didn't, it didn't. I'm here, and that is such an incredible miracle that I beat the odds, because the odds are against us when we have this disease of alcoholism. So I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful that you're joining me on the journey. And thanks for listening. I will talk to you tomorrow.